All right, Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign announced yesterday that it has raised 25.3 million in the third quarter of 2019, the most of any 2020 Democratic presidential candidate in a quarter to date. According to the campaign, September was its single best month of fundraising in the 2020 election cycle thus far. The cash raised in the third quarter comes from 1.4 million donations. The average donation was $18. Bernie is proud to be the only candidate running to defeat Donald Trump, who is 100% funded by grassroots donations. Both in the primary and in the general, said Sanders' campaign manager Faiz Shakir in a statement. Media elites and professional pundits have tried repeatedly to dismiss this campaign, and yet working class Americans keep saying loudly and clearly that they want a political revolution. Despite the third quarter being notoriously challenging to raise funds in, Sanders' fundraising numbers surpassed his second quarter totals. In the second quarter, Sanders raised more than 18 million and also transferred 7.6 million from other accounts. His campaign says it did transfer 2.6 million in the third quarter, but that it is not included in the 25 million total. The campaign did not say how much money on hand it had at the close of the quarter. So right after this story came out, the I think it was the Trump campaign, but there was a news article that said Trump raised basically 3 or 4 times as much. It was over 120 million. That's all what I recall for the same quarter. And I kept having to explain that even though these totals are impressive, they're these big showings of money. The point that is attempting to be made by the Sanders campaign and by other campaigns that have declined to take funding from super PACs and millionaires and billionaires is that if enough people get together to support someone, you'll be able to at least get some number that is respectable enough to use to seriously run a campaign. You don't need $1 billion or several hundreds of billions to reach out to people in grassroots ways. You know, the people can play ads all day long, but they're not going to change anything if the person doesn't believe in that candidate. I described a while ago how in 2017, when Steyer was on his Trump impeachment frenzy, one day I was sitting in my room and I watched one of his ads, or his same ad, where he tries to do that like fake "I'm so compassionate, we need to get rid of Trump" voice, and it played 5 times. You know, don't send us some kind of fundraising thing and sign a petition. I didn't do any of that, and the ad just kept playing and playing and it didn't work because when you don't directly reach out to people, which is exactly what Steyer was doing with that, he wasn't actually campaigning for Trump's impeachment. He was just playing stupid ads to raise awareness of his position. You aren't able to connect in the same manner that someone who rigorously campaigns does. Um, so it's in conclusion, a great total. I really wish that people would stop trying to compare the Trump numbers. They're always going to be bigger, but those numbers do not translate to votes. When you look at that 1.4 million people that donated, or the over a million people that donated in this quarter, they can all donate again, or a majority of them can. And they're actual voters who support him, and that's going to translate to voting totals if we see a general election matchup between Sanders and Trump in that hypothetical. Because some people are claiming Trump might be out of office by then, even though he won't. So it's a nice little story.